Hi, Seals. Hope you had a lovely Easter holiday. Welcome back. Um, we are going to continue reading our class story. Going to have a quick recap of what happened because I'd actually forgotten what happened so far in the book. So Tilly's friend Oscar, who grandson is from the rival bakery called Crumbs down the road, who's in the same year as Tilly in school, came to the bookshop to get a book for his holiday homework. And they were talking about Tilly's past life, with her mum and her dad not being around anymore. And then Oscar left, and he's now. And then she went, and then Tilly went up to the reading corner to read her book. And there was a girl there called Anne in her reading corner, which she thought was a bit strange. And we know that Tilly's favourite book, one of Tilly's favourite book is a copy of Anne of Green Gables. It's her mum's copy, and it's one of her favourite copies. And it's quite interesting that the girl that is upstairs in the reading corner is somebody called Anne. So we're going to continue reading from where we were. So Tilly's just told Anne she'll help her find a book. What's your favourite story? She asked, jerking Anne out of her autumnal daydreams. Do stories you've made up yourself count? asked Anne. I don't think so, said Tilly. They have to be, proper stories, like in a book. A story that you've made up yourself is just as proper, don't you think? Although I suppose it is harder to share with other people unless it's written down. But I do love telling stories out loud as well. My friend Deanna and I have a club where we read each other our stories and offer helpful advice on how to improve as writers. I must say, though, the advice is mainly one way. Poor Diana, she doesn't have much of an imagination, although I love her fiercely regardless. I dare say it is good for my soul to be buddies with a girl who is so lacking in imaginative powers. The mention of a friend named Diana made Tilly's brain itch. Something about this girl was so familiar. But anyway, it must depend on what the purpose of your story is, I suppose, Anne concluded and looked up triumphantly. Tilly nodded supportively, although she wasn't really very sure what Anne's point was. Do you know, Tilly started, glancing down at the book in her hand, you do remind me of, but she was interrupted by a harried-looking man who came up behind them and tapped Tilly on the shoulder. Excuse me, young lady, I need to pay for this immediately. Do you work here? He was holding a very thick business textbook. Not really, Tilly said, trying not to laugh as Anne impersonated the man's cross face behind his back. But I'll go and find my granddad. He owns the shop. The man nodded. I'll be right back, Tilly said to Anne. I don't trust you to come back, Missy. I'll come with you. I have an incredible important meeting to get to urgently, the man said, and Tilly couldn't be bothered to explain that she wasn't talking to him. She delivered him to Grandad, who took him to the till. But when Tilly went back upstairs, she couldn't see Anne anywhere. She ran down to find Grandad after the grumpy customer had gone. Ah, Tilly, just the person I was looking for. Don't forget, we need some of your inspiration for the Wonderland party later. I'd be wondering if we could possibly try to... He paused, noticing how distracted she was. What's up, sweetheart? Did you see a girl come past here a few moments ago? She asked. No, afraid not, love. Was she a friend from school? No, just a customer, I think. She seemed nice, though. I thought she might have stuck around for a bit, Tilly said, but I can't find her. She probably had to go and meet her parents, Tills, Grandad said gently. Maybe she'll pop back in later. I'll keep an eye out for her if she comes in. What does she look like? She had red hair and two plaits, Tilly said. It was funny, actually. She really reminded me of Anne Shirley from Anne of Green Gables. And her name was even Anne, too. Such a weird coincidence. Maybe it's like owners and their dogs, she joked. You start seeing your favourite characters in real people. Although, that's not quite right, the dog thing, is it? She tailed off, noticing Grandad's face had gone pale. Are you okay? Should I get Grandma? Do you need a cup of tea? No, I'm fine, love, Grandad reassured her. Just a wobbly moment. Been on my feet for too long this morning, I think. I will take you up on that tea, though, and I'll just have a sit down behind here for a moment. I'll be right as rain before you know it. The colour was already returning to his cheeks as Tilly left to make the tea. Chapter 5. Magic, Mischief, Nonsense. While the kettle boiled, Tilly seized the chance to run upstairs to her room and dig out her mum's copy of Alice in Wonderland, tucking Mary's photo inside the cover. Grandad wasn't at the till when she returned with the tea. She tracked him down in the corner of the shop that they'd rather grandly called the office, although it was really just a desk tucked into a corner of the fourth floor where customers didn't venture as regularly. As she headed towards the office, a sweet, smoky smell lingered in the air, one that got stronger as she got closer to the desk, alongside a murmur of voices. Someone very posh was responding to Grandad's question, and as Tilly rounded the corner, she saw a tall, elegant man in an expensive-looking grey coat sitting opposite Grandad. To Tilly's surprise, he was smoking a black pipe, which was the cause of the sweet scent in the air, and he was wearing an odd hat with a flap on each side, even though it was always cosy inside the shop. "I don't mean to be rude, but I don't think you should be smoking in here," she said, putting down Grandad's cup. The man and Grandad stopped talking abruptly and stared at her before turning to look at each other. "Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your meeting, Grandad," Tilly said, instantly worried she'd been too terse with someone who looked decidedly important. "I just wanted to ask you something, but I'll come back later." Grandad nodded mutely and Tilly went back downstairs, but only a few minutes later she heard her name being called. "Tilly!" Grandad's voice came down the stairs. "Wait for me a sec, will you?" Tilly paused so Grandad could catch up with her. "Sorry about that, love," he said, back to his usual self. "I was just in deep conversation and entirely forgot I'd asked for that cup of tea. Sorry if I was strange with you. You know how I get. Can't concentrate on more than one thing at a time." "It's okay," Tilly said. "Who was that anyway, and why were you letting him smoke?" Grandad looked sheepish. He's an old friend and he does things like his way, so I let the rules slide for him and turn a blind eye. I know it's ill-advised." "I can't seem to turn a corner in this place without interrupting someone else's conversation," Tilly said. "What on earth do you mean, sweetheart?" Grandad said. "I barged in on Grandma catching up with a friend yesterday too," Tilly said, "and that lady vanished as soon as I interrupted. I just seemed to make everything awkward." "Which lady was that?" Grandad asked slowly. I think she was called Lizzie," Tilly said. Grandma said as she reminded her of Mum. Grandad took a deep breath and then smiled warmly at Tilly. "Enough reminiscing. What were you going to ask me about?" Tilly showed him the book she had still tucked under her arm. Alice in Wonderland. Perfect research for the party. Can you believe we've never had an Alice theme before in all our year of autumn parties? "It's one of Mum's," Tilly explained, passing it to Grandad, who opened the cover automatically and saw the photo that Tilly had shown him yesterday. He stilled for a fraction of a moment before placing his palm on the photo, like it was on the cheek of a child. "It's a lovely connection to have, isn't it?" Grandad said, holding the photo up to his glasses. "Having the same book she's reading in the photo. She loved Alice in Wonderland too," he said, closing the book and pointing at the cover. "Do you know why she liked them so much?" Tilly said, remembering her decision to try and find out more about her mother's taste in books. "Well, as I said before, she always felt a very personal connection to a little princess," Grandad said carefully. "And why do any of us love Alice Adventures in Wonderland? Magic, mischief, nonsense, all the good stuff." "I wish I could talk to her about it," Tilly said. "Me too, sweetheart," Grandad said. "Me too." He looked into her eyes quite seriously for a moment before an extravagant stomach rumble invaded the silence. "Well then, I suppose I'd better get on lunch. It'll be ready soon. Pop down before too long." He gave her a kiss on the top of her head and set off towards the kitchen. Tilly found the nearest chair, sat down and began reading the familiar first few sentences. Soon she was as lost in Wonderland as Alice was, reassured by the scenes and characters she knew so well, and soothed by knowing that her mother had made the same journey years before. Okay, so I think we're starting to see Tilly go into some of the books and see some characters. Do you think the characters are actually in the book or in the shop, or do you think they're in her imagination? I wonder what you think. Okay, I hope you're okay. If there's anything that I can do for you or anything, email me. Let me know what you think of the class story. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.